Hi, everyone. It's Grayson. Welcome back to the Capability Podcast. So, for those who are a bit curious, yes, I understand why you might be curious. I have had like a month of complete silence when I'm talking about the podcast, and there's actually a reason for that. I noticed that the first two episodes I both did before I started sophomore year, which I'm currently doing. And as soon as sophomore year started, I literally realized I had so much homework and so much stuff I was doing after school and weekends. I was just exhausted and doing social stuff. So I wanted to be organized and consistent with it though. So what I've been doing for the last month is planning everything out, and I'm actually pre-recording the entirety of my first season, and I'm gonna release it like periodically for everyone to listen to, so that way you guys don't have to be like, oh, when's the next episode, and I'm just gonna I'll have like a table, a chart, and I'm hoping to do about like 10 to 12 episodes for the first season and see how that goes. Probably gonna release them something like every other week, and I'm also gonna stop focusing on length because for a lot of these episodes, I want to be able to stay on topic. And I feel like if I'm trying to drag some of this stuff out to like an hour, I just have to get like off the topic because some things you don't want to talk about for 45 minutes. So I'm gonna start just seeing how long it goes. And yeah, because I know the message I want to put out there and I know what I want to talk about. So yeah, let's just see how each thing goes. So, if this is your first episode that you are listening to, welcome. And you know that I have two other episodes out so far, and that it's been a hot second since I've put one out. My first one was called Why I Sobbed on My 12th Birthday. It was an entire episode about my sixth grade year, starting a new school, social struggles. Sorry, I need to slow down my talking. And how by the time I turned 12, I realized that there were actually a handful of people that cared about me because I had people singing happy birthday for me. My next one was 2022 was a fever dream, and that whole episode was about the insane year that was 2022 and just like the weirdness that went on and why it's so like foggy for me, and honestly it was just like not a good year. That was a direct follow up. But I honestly want to stop kind of reminiscing on negativity in the past, just take a little break from that and breathe and just talk about like right now and like different things that have been on my head. So, my big topic, my big question for today is my ambition a curse or a blessing? This is something that I have been like kind of pondering for a while. Uh I'm sure there's a handful of listeners that like know me personally, and if you really know me, you know I'm incredibly ambitious. I'm always coming up with new ideas, like projects. I always have different things. Like I just am creatively ambitious more than just like ambitious in anything. I'm just a very creative person and I have like a creative soul. But I've always been that way. I can like when I think back to I don't know, like since I was as long and as far as ago I can remember, when I was like 5, I was writing books and making videos and everything because I just always have these insane ideas. And for a lot of people, that might immediately come off as like, oh, wow, that's really cool. You know, you get to have all these ideas, your brain is like feeding you with these ideas, and you're always coming up with things. Well, yes, but it can be really overwhelming. Like, there was a time period like maybe a year or two ago where I would just like wake up every day and have all these ideas and write it all down. But then it would just be so overwhelming because I never had time to do it. And a lot of things, I mean, I'm 15, so a lot of things I can't really do on my own. And things are like expensive and just hard to access. So, and also it can be kind of it can kind of be overstimulating to just be someone that wakes up in the morning and has all these different concepts and creative things. But on the other hand, it I would say it can be a bit of a blessing because it's like it's kind of guiding towards my future because although I'm kind of bouncing around between all these different ideas I always have, it's like a lot of people I think a lot of people my age don't have like a clear path about what they want to do, and they don't have that much passion. But I think for me, I'm really passionate and I know that I want to do something where I can be creative on a day-to-day basis. So, in that sense, it could be a blessing. But it's always been that way for me. Like, and I not only is it overwhelming for me, I think it's also overwhelming for the people around me. Like, because sometimes I'm just like dumping all my ideas on my family and my friends, and I think it can be a lot. And I can't remember a time where I wasn't that way though. Like, I think I want to say I was maybe 7 or 8 when I first started a YouTube channel, and I got the idea. I think my sister had one. She had like American Girl dolls, and she had a channel for it. And she's a few years older than me, but yeah, I saw that and I was like, I have to make a YouTube channel. I thought it was so cool. But even before that, I vaguely remember this stuff, but when I'm with my family, like they're always talking about how when I was little, I had my little iPad and I was always making videos, and some of those things I still have, but they said I was always making these different creative things and whatnot. I remember too, I used to go over to my grandma's house and I would have her put different items in a bag. She would just throw random stuff on a in a bag, and then I would go into a different room for 20 minutes and come back out into the living room, and I had to have the challenge was that I had to have made a whole play based off of those items. And my sister my sister would like usually be there, right? She was only like 2 or 3 years older than me, but it got like at a certain point because it was one of my favorite things. Like I grew up doing that little challenge at my grandma's house, and it was just one of my favorite things ever to do. But I think my sister got a little tired of it, and she'd be like, "Oh well, let's do something else." And I'm like, "No, I love this. I love this." And for a while, I thought it was because she was older than me, but I think it's just because I was so like ambitious. Um, so it was like really cool, but at the same time, it's a bit of a curse because it can be a lot for myself and other people. I remember also when I was, I don't know, I want to say maybe 8, and somehow there's still videos of this somewhere on my mom's phone, probably. But I used to like it because in elementary school you just have kind of all of your all of the subjects are taught by the same teacher, where now you go to different rooms or whatever, but in elementary school it's all by the same teacher. So I used to like orchestrate I used to have these like plays, like not really through the school but at the school. I would just get whoever was interested and I would assign these different roles and write scripts and make positions and all of that. And I think I feel like at that age, and I don't self-diagnose, but I think at that age, I it was super likely that I had a little bit of OCD because I think I remember if things didn't go exactly how I visioned or how I planned, I I was just I was just like no, and it would make me super upset, and I would just kind of have an episode if it wasn't exactly what I had envisioned in my mind, and if other people didn't like understand it and it wasn't executed the way that I wanted. And that's like a lot for a young age cuz I was just trying to do things whenever I could. I was never a musical theater kid, but I always wanted to write scripts and do things like that. And somewhere in my attic, I have this giant cardboard box filled with all these different stories that I wrote when I was little, and I would draw these covers and I would make these full on books. And I feel like it's kind of a recent revelation that that's not that just shows that I'm a creative person, because I don't feel like that was any of these things are super normal for young kids. Like I was just super into that, but I was always doing things with my ambition. I think when I was 6, I I made a ton of slime. Yeah, I made a ton of slime and I went door to door in my neighborhood and sold it. I remember I made a door to door popcorn business. I was always baking, trying to make new recipes. I wanted to be so many things. I wanted to be everybody, and I wanted to do everything. And yeah, there was a when I was 9 or so, I had like 10 YouTube channel, not 10, but like 5 YouTube channels, and each one was for a different thing because I just had all these ideas. And yeah, sometimes it just explodes into like a million things. But now I really want to I'm just like really into content. And yeah, I am still really ambitious. Like for me, this podcast is ambitious. Um, I write a lot. I write songs. I'm into photography, videography. I do all these things, and it's kind of cool to look at myself now and then look at myself back then and think how it this is one of the only things about myself that hasn't changed throughout my life. And when I see something like that, to me that's an obvious path and an obvious signal telling you, yeah, this is what you're supposed to do. Because when you've been so into doing things like creatively your whole life, because being into the same thing that you were into at 5 years old that you're into at 15, that's a pretty big deal. So when you have that, it's like this is what you're going to be doing for life. This is your career. And that's kind of exciting because it's giving me a clear vision, but it can be a lot sometimes because it's like I can't do that much. I'm 15. I don't have that many options to go out. And obviously, I take opportunities when I can, but that's just it, you know? What am I supposed to do? Because I remember always feeling like cast out and feeling different and mocked for having all these ideas when I was little. And n- and I think it was because I wanted to do so much with it and just do everything I could and spend all my free time doing it. Because when I had a friend over, we would be making a video, writing a book, and I I even remember, actually when I was 10, I had a different podcast. Um, Now I have like a serious one, but yeah, when I was 10, I had another podcast. But I mean, I every time that I'm having a moment where I'm just like, "Oh my god, I want to do all these videos. I want to write all this, make all these photos, make all these things, make all these books, write all these scripts." I'm like so overwhelmed, and I have to manage that. And in that sense it's a curse, but you know, in that sense it's kind of like a curse, but then it's cool and interesting to be able to have that, and it's a talking point and it's an interest point, and it's a hobby, like. But there's still moments where I just close my eyes and I have an insane vision, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm looking at something and I know what I want it to be. For example, a few months ago, I want to say it was early June or May, I we were getting our floors redone in our house. I think we had water damage or something. I don't know. And I want to say, yeah, I was home alone. And I woke up in the morning and I went downstairs and all the furniture was emptied from the house. There was nothing. Like, we didn't have a couch, no chairs, no kitchen table because to do the floors, they had to take everything out. But I looked at that and I saw I saw a vision in my head. Like, I was like, this would be an insane thing for like a music video. And it just looked like a whole thing. And I ended up I spent like 5 hours, like, I whipped out my camera and, like, a tripod, and I spent, like, 5 hours just taking photographs of myself around that whole house, and I got my guitar and did all kinds of stuff with that, and did it turn out really good? No, but it was still super fun for me because it's, like, it's so cool to just see something and have such a vision with it and such a way with it. But yeah, I thought it was like the coolest thing ever because it was just kind of wow, like the house I grew up in, it's dead empty. And also, for those who don't know this, because I didn't really know this before that, when you have an empty house like that, it like when you have nothing in there because the sound just like doesn't really have anything to stop with, it's so echoey. So standing in my living room, I remember it was the most like so echoey, and I was like, imagine giving some kind of like concert in here. But it's also like at 15, it's like, what do I do with that? There's not a lot I can do. So that's why I everything that I can do, I do. Like, last year, I was on my school's media team. I try to have a podcast. I post videos and make videos and and do like Instagram, and every opportunity I can take, I take, because I've said this before, but if you're not doing what you can, then what's the point of doing? It's something like that. I used to say this all the time, and I kind of forgot what it was because I probably saw it somewhere when I was little or something. But like, yeah, I mean, is my ambition a curse or a blessing? I mean, my I want to say it's a blessing because I feel like it's God given, and I believe that in life you're born with set a set of talents and a set of disadvantages and advantages, and like uh people and experiences that you're going to go through, and just what you're born into. And I feel like a big part of our purpose here on earth is to like see what you can do with what you have. And everyone's born with like everyone lives with these certain amount of advantages and disadvantages and opportunities and non-opportunities. And I feel like as a person, I'm here to like see what I can do with that and do my best with what I can do. But honestly, I'm excited to like have a lot of freedom. Like, I'm excited to start driving, and I'm excited to move out because I it's going to open a whole new door to me because right now, I mean, there's not a lot I can do. But yeah, so for me, I would say my ambition is a blessing, although sometimes it can feel like a curse. Well, that's it for this episode, and I am so happy that you made it to the end if you're at this point, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.